was looking forward to in 2011 was Dragon Age 2. I was a fan of the first one, and I couldn't wait for the second one. After beating it a few days ago, I realized that it was good, it was enjoyable, but it was overall a little disappointing. Right in the beginning of the game, you can tell the differences already. The narrative, they change around. In Origins, you have your choices of whether you want to be dwarf, elf, or human, and your various classes such as mage, rogue, or warrior. In this game, you are limited to mage, rogue, or warrior, but human. Human female, human male. So right on, your options are limited compared to the first. The story takes place parallel to the events of Origins. However, that's only for the first few minutes of the game, probably the first 20 or half hour. After that, the narrative continues forward for a couple years. So the events of Dragon Age have passed, and now you're dealing. Basically, the whole game takes place in the city of Kirkwall. Now you'll see some cameos from characters from the first one, which kind of ties in. So it's pretty nice to see all the old characters, or a few of them, I should say. So the scale of this game is kind of limited. As you know, the first one, the Origins, is pretty much like your typical fantasy Lord of the Rings type big adventure with the evil forces, whatnot. This one takes place within the city. You have three basically separate areas: Kirkwall Day, Kirkwall Night, and the surrounding mountainous areas. Now, because of that, all the areas are going to seem repetitive because you're going there multiple times throughout the game. There's really not much difference. Once you go through the first batch of the areas, you'll pretty much see them all because all the missions take place in those areas. So overall, it kind of got a little boring. The graphics are pretty good. The character models are great. When you talk to them, it's all fully detailed, whatnot. The character designs are great. The Kunari had a character redesign, which was pretty awesome. They look pretty badass now, and compared to the first one, where Sten just looked like a regular tall guy, whatever. And they have horns now, so it was a great character redesign there. Their armor, looks pretty much. You can't change their armor; you can only upgrade them. Now, the narrative takes place 10 years, or whatever, X amount of years throughout the whole game. But however, this little thing I had with it, their clothes never change, or they never age or shown that 10 years have passed. It would be nice to see if like scars stayed on, or a little aging process, well, or something like that. So overall, I guess that's for future games, and they were trying this out. But after a 10-year span, I would like to see something that showed me that it was that much time elapsed. The combat is your typical it's an action RPG. You have your A button for your attack, and you press it rapidly to chain attacks together. You have your spells, which you can activate by like a quick menu on the screen where you can customize 6 spells, or you can use like the left trigger to pick which ones you want. You have quite a number of spells and talents that you can learn, or your characters can learn throughout the game once you level up. The action on screen is it's relentless. It's quick. You just keep going. They throw out a bunch of enemies at you. Sometimes you can feel overwhelmed, but overall the combat is just fluid. It's never a break in the action unless you pause it yourself by picking the radial menu and picking your spells and talents. The action is never going to stop. So it's quick. If you like those fast action RPGs, then you'll like this one. And true to Bioware fashion, you have the dialogue options which you can choose to continue along with the conversation. You can see the progression, how they change from the first and second Mass Effect. It's nice to see they're getting better at it, and much more. You can see the progression that they have. So I can't wait for Mass Effect 3 to see how it goes. It really benefits you to dive into the conversation deeper by asking questions and getting more information, because you will have options that you wouldn't have if you didn't. So you have those extra options along with the direct responses, and you can ask if you have certain party members in the cutscene at a certain time. You can ask them what they think about it and their actions. So overall, it's nice how they progress the dialogue option. So and that was really a fun part. As a little bioware games, the dialogue is really entertaining. So overall, the gameplay was fun. It was quick. It was fast action. A lot of enemies on screen. However, sometimes the game will suffer and will drop down a frame rate and will get really choppy at sometimes. The story felt like it's hard to explain it, but it's like there's three acts. It separates the game. The first act is the deep roads. The second act is the Kunari, and the third act is kind of like a civil war type of thing with the Templars and mages. But each act felt like there was nothing happening, nothing happening. Then the final act, then everything happened. Then it starts over again. Uh, it's like a whole bunch of nothing till the end. It's not that consistent build up to the events leading. You'll have your side missions where some entertaining things will happen, some big things will happen, but overall that's how like the main quest felt like. Then it kind of ended, and it ends on a cliffhanger with a character from the older games, at the end. I won't tell you who, but it's one of the big characters. If it's a cliffhanger, so it feels like this whole game is maybe like a prologue, or just going through the motions or whatnot to lead up to the third game. Now, I'm sure once the third game comes out, this this game right here will mean a lot more than what it will now. But overall, like the story just felt like a whole lot of nothing, and then kind of like ended. So that's how it is for the story. There's a ton of replayability, as in any RPG. You can have your different classes, different gender, different options, different romances, different outcomes, whichever you want to pick. There's some big decisions that you could make to alter the story a lot. So overall, I'll give this game a 7 out of 10. It was good, but wasn't great. I was kind of disappointed, like I said. Maybe I was expecting too much. There were some things I liked, like the 10-year narrative. I liked the direction they went with that. However, it didn't really feel like the 10 years. It kind of just felt like, a day or 2 days, a week, whatever. Didn't really get that sense of that's how long you spent in this city. So maybe they can improve on that. And like I said, it had a ton of replayability. So as with other RPGs, with other bioware RPGs, to say Mass Effect and the first Dragon Age. So if you're a fan, you should check this out and see if you like it or not. For any other RPG fan, if you like those action RPGs, I think you'll like this one. Probably play the first Dragon Age or one of the Mass Effects. Maybe that's more your style. Maybe you'll like this one more. We'll see. So hope you enjoyed this review. Hope it was helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one.